Okay, this is the third line in our core line. We talked about routine bathing, we talked about dry, itchy skin. This is actual therapy. So these are going to be the cases that have dry, itchy skin, that are infected and more involved. And there's several goals that we'll have with this. A lot of times is getting rid of skin debris, getting rid of infection, growing hair. There's just a lot of different things that we can do with this line. This is where we really need the education to really get good at it. Now, a lot of the therapies we use a backbone type of recipe, and you can do that and do fairly well. But I always say it's like teaching somebody to cook. I can give you a recipe and you can make a wonderful meal and your friends can rave about it and say how great it is, but that doesn't make you a chef. If you want to be good at your art, you're going to have to study it, you're going to have to understand it at a higher level. Like I say, you can do the basics and you can get some really good results. But to really hone in on it, we'll need more of an education. And that's where the pet esthetician program really comes in. So let's kind of break it down and talk about it. So this is the main group that we're going to use for therapy. And it's going to be based on close, open, close. Now, if you remember when we talk about a wound, if it's dry, we want to wet it. If it's wet, we want to dry it. So in the first close, it really depends on what kind of wound or what kind of thing we're trying to accomplish. If we're dealing with a dry problem, we're going to use purifying mask. And the purifying mask has a lot of nice oils in it there, and it's very good at breaking up the debris. Now there's sometimes that the whole dog's involved, and so that would be a lot of this product. So occasionally what we'll do is we will mix in a little of the purifying shampoo with that, which just makes it go a little farther and it spreads a little bit easier. But if we've got a dry wound, purifying mask. And if we have a wet wound, then we talked about using a clay. So this is the Atami Red Clay. Has Dead Sea salts in there. It has a lot of trace minerals in that. It comes in like a peanut butter consistency. So sometimes we'll dilute it with a little ginkgo oil so that it spreads a lot easier on that. Otherwise, it's a little thick to put on. So we'll put that on, and a lot of times we'll leave it on for several hours. Even on a lot of our horse work or that, we'll leave it on for 24 hours. Now, why do we leave it on longer for horses? Because they usually don't lick it off. It has a nice smell to it. It has salts to it. A lot of times our dogs and cats want to lick it off. So we have to be very careful. This works very well, and I talk about it when we talk about the feet, is it works very well for a lot of the pododermatitis or the dogs that have infection or inflammation of the feet. Well, we'll smear it all over the feet, put saran wrap on it, put a little vet wrap on it, let them run around for a while, because that is a drying agent, and those salts really are good for kind of cleaning up and taking care of the skin there. The ginkgo also is an anti-seborrheic, so a lot of times it will cut down on a lot of that sebum production on the overall. So our first close, if it's dry, we're going to use purifying mask. If it's wet, we're going to use Atami Red Clay. The second step, or the shampoo stage, this is actually where we're going to be treating the infection part of it. So we have two products we work with. We have Zolfo and we have Mineral Plus Cream. Now, if we look at what's in there, the Zolfo is a sulfur base. If you've been around for a while, you remember the old lime sulfur dips. It has a lot of therapeutic properties there in the fact that the skin needs sulfur. That is one of the things that kind of makes some of the bonds that occur in the skin. So sulfur is helpful from that aspect, but sulfur is also a great antifungal type property. So this is more of a liquid or a colloidal type sulfur, and it will help take care of the infection. The fungal infections. It also is fairly good at breaking down some of the debris in the skin. If you remember, we treat with both antifungal and antibacterial. So the antifungal is Zolfo, the antibacterial is the Mineral Plus Cream. And the antibacterial ingredient that we use in there is honey. Honey is a wonderful antibacterial. It kills the bacteria, and it works very, very well for feeding the skin at the same time. So the combination worked very, very well. Now, one thing we'll talk about the Zolfo, is you will have that rare occasion where you may have an animal that might have a reaction to the sulfur, or it actually has some hydrolyzed protein in there, wheat protein. So just be aware that you could have that. And incidents, I think I've seen 2 in the last 10 years. But I like to mention it because if you see it, I want you to be aware of it on that. Also, if you personally have an allergy to sulfur, you need to be a little careful on that. So we've done the first close. We've treated with the antibacterial, antifungal. Now we're going into the second close. One of the things we talked a lot about is balancing the pH. So we have a product called pH Balance. And it's actually more than just a pH balancer. It's a wonderful conditioner. It really feeds and nourishes the skin, but it does control that pH, because if we can get that pH into a normal range, then the body's going to function much better. So actually in our last conditioning stage, we're still working on the antibacterial, antifungal properties on that. So we get it into normal pH, we rehydrate, we start reforming that sebum, works very well. We very commonly will combine that with ginger elderberry peck, or it's another conditioner. You'll find with the products from Italy, peck, balsam, conditioner, that they all basically mean the same thing. They're conditioners on the overall. So we're going to use a ginger elderberry. It has wonderful antibacterial, antifungal properties also. This also makes a wonderful hydrating spray. So we can take that ginger elderberry at about a 1:8 to 1:32 dilution, and we can use on those areas that may need a little extra help, whether it be trying to take care of the bacteria, fungus, or we can also help condition it in between. Now, one of the things that we talked about is a lot of times we're bathing twice a week, but we got a bad problem. We need to be doing something in between. An antibiotic twice a week is not enough. So in between, we need to be doing something at home. So we have an absolutely wonderful combination. And I always joke, anybody that's seen the Big Fat Greek Wedding and know that Windex fixes everything, this is our Windex. This fixes everything. It's an amazing, amazing combination. And the combination is ginkgo oil, ozonated olive oil, and illegal elements. So to break down what each one of those does, the ginkgo oil is antibacterial, it's anti-inflammatory, and it's anti-seborrheic, which means it controls the seborrhea. The ozonated olive oil is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, anti-cancer, and it's a great anti-inflammatory. That's the only product I know that they've put ozone in to be able to keep it stable. So they actually bubble the ozone through the olive oil for, I've heard anywhere from several hours to months. I don't know exactly the process, but, and we're not unique. Other people have the product. I just don't know that anybody can compare with the quality of ours on that. But it is a wonderful product to use on something like this. Then we also have our illegal elements. And the illegal elements are those trace minerals and elements that we need to replace when that skin becomes compromised. So when you put this combination together, it's absolutely amazing the results that you're going to get on that. In fact, I have a section on the ozone. You need to look at some of those pictures. It'll blow you away, some of the things that we're able to do with just this combination on that. So if we have a fungus, if we have a bacterial problem, if we have just an inflammatory process, these all work very, very well. So especially ones like chronic lichenification or elephant skin, this is something a lot of times we keep those dogs fairly well oiled, because this is going to have kind of a combination effect. Not only are we going to be treating the infection, we're going to be treating the inflammation, but we're also, the oils are going to help break down all that dead sebum. So it works very, very well in a lot of the chronic cases to start breaking that down and taking care of that. So this is the backbone of what we're going to use for therapy. Now, depending on what we have, sometimes we have an additional products that we'll add to that. You know, and one of them that we use very commonly is the K101. K101 is avocado oil. It's a very penetrating oil. So a lot of the skin problems that we end up having are very deep set. They've got a lot of debris. We need something to really cut the debris down as quick as we can. Now we can use the ozonated olive oil, we can use the ginkgo oil, and actually our parent company talks a lot about using those actually they'll use it in all 3 stages. I guess I'm a little bit more conservative in the fact that these are very expensive oils because they're therapeutic. The K101 tends to be a little cheaper, and what I'm looking for is to break down debris, and I want to be able to use a fair amount of it on that. I like the avocado oil because it is so penetrating. So a lot of times we're going to add that into our first close especially to break things down. Sometimes we'll even add it in some of the other steps if we need a little bit more breakdown power of that sebum because it's old and deteriorated. So we talked a lot about like hot spots and things like that. If you need to cut the itch, the SL or the SOS from the mineral red line does a wonderful job on that. The peeling also is something from the mineral red line a lot of times we'll combine here. But all those things, like I say, that's part of the learning curve that you have. We always recommend that if you're struggling in the least bit, please call, let us help you. Because we have experience with this. We know what to add and when to add it. You know, the backbone, like I say, that's your recipe. You can go home and start cooking tomorrow. But if we're not responding correctly and we need a little extra, that's a time to call the office and get one of the product consultants to be able to help you in the process. And we'll guide you to the product that's going to help you the best, the quickest on the overall. Now, this is for infection and problems. We also consider in our therapy line if we need to regrow hair. So if we're regrowing hair, then a lot of times we go to the combination of mineral H, pH, and orange peck. Now, the mineral H actually has parts of the placenta of a Swiss cow. And basically that works like a stem cell. That stimulates the body to start producing hair. And some people say, well, I want a plant-based. Well, plant-based products usually don't stimulate animal cells to do what they need to do. We need more of that stem cell, so we need to stick with an animal in order to do that. But that will stimulate that hair growth. It does an absolutely wonderful job. Now, the theory on that is the mineral H is going to help grow hair. The pH is going to create a perfect environment for the hair to grow because we're going to adjust the pH. We're going to give it all the trace minerals that we need. We're going to give it all the hydration. So we've created that perfect environment to grow lawn on that. We're going to make sure that that grows well. And then the orange peck, its job is to strengthen the hair that's already there. Because most of the ones that have hair issues, the hair that's still standing is not healthy. It's weak. It doesn't have a lot of strength to it. So I don't want to continue to lose those. If I can reinforce and make those better, then that's where the orange peck comes in. Now, we also will use a similar type scenario when we're doing a D-shed, in the fact that orange peck has a lot of oils. So we can put that in that first stage of the close, open, close for a D-shed, and that works very well to start breaking up the old sebum. We also will very commonly add a little K101 to that, just a little bit more to break down the debris. Mineral H is actually very good to kind of stimulate new growth and get rid of that old hair on that. So the mineral H works well, and then a lot of times we'll follow it up with the orange peck and a lot of times pH. And there again, it just creates a good, healthy environment so that we get the normal type hair turnover, the normal type of shedding that we should get. And done correctly, as we've talked about, you're going to drop most of that hair in the tub. You don't have to spend hours brushing it out. You don't have to spend hours blowing it all around the room and having a 2-hour cleanup afterwards. We want to work smarter, not harder. So the combination of orange peck, mineral H, orange peck, and pH work wonderful for your D-sheds. Now, a lot of the ones when we're growing hair, they're lacking a little in their minerals. They're lacking a little in some of the vitamins in that. So we have a combination we call mineral mist here. And the mineral mist is just a nice auxiliary to help grow hair. So if we're using the normal mineral age, pH, and orange peck, and we're just not getting there as well, then sometimes we need a little extra boost. And the mineral mist works very, very well for that. So 2 of the products are for hair, 2 of the products are for skin. And people look at those bottles and say they all look the same. Well, if it says plus, it's for the skin. If it's mineral plus, it's for the skin. If it says mineral H, it's for hair. So the hair, we have vitamin H, which is for the hair, and then we also have the reinforce, which those 2 things kind of help the hair part of it. And then for the skin, we have illegal elements, and then we have the anti-itch or anti-pruritic there. Combination together works very, very well. We usually mix it in a spray bottle, spray it down, similar to what we would do with the triple oil, so that works well. A lot of times too, we have different situations that we can add products like the Sil. The Sil is basically a natural silicone. Works totally different, doesn't leave the residual. It's not so slick you can't hold a bottle. It just does a lot of positive things. So a couple places that we use that on. If we have a sore, sometimes we'll put triple oil on it and we'll put this over the top because it works as a nice sealant on that. If you ever have a situation where you need what we call a liquid glove, you can put a little of this on your hands, and that works very well to protect your hands for a period of time. If you have eye staining on the, a lot of your white colored dogs that get the porphyrins, you clean, hydrate well with a great conditioner, and you can put this and it creates a drain board. It also works well for things like urine scalding, where we clean it up well, condition it well, and then we can put this on there, and it works as a protectorant. So this is one of those things that there's a lot of small uses that you can add to that. There again, it takes almost nothing on that. It also works real good in your short-haired dogs if you want to put a final finish on them. As they walk out the door, 1 or 2 drops on your hand, wipe your hands, rub them down. It provides a nice protective coating for them also, because they're, again, the short-haired dogs need that extra protection on the overall. So hopefully that gives you a little basic idea of some of the products that are out there. I tell people, please, please, when in question, let us help you. Let us consult with us. We don't want you buying products that you don't need, or the wrong products, or things that there may be a better solution for. So that's why we have the line where you can talk to the groomers that are consultants. They've done this before. They know the best way to get there, and they can help you in the process there. Because we want to make you as efficient as possible. We want to get the results as quick as possible. So hopefully that helps, and we'll go on to some of the other products here.